Good morning, students. Welcome back. This is Dr. B. Tulasi, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Vignan Srirula Institute of Technology and Sciences for Women, Palakluru. In the last class, we have seen a brief introduction about the building blocks of UML. In that, among the three parts, things, relationships, and diagrams, I have covered one part, that is things. Today I am going to cover the remaining two parts. Those are relationships and diagrams. So let's start our session. Before starting the session, let me ask you few questions about the previous class. And first question is, how many types of things are there in the UML? Can anyone answer this question? Exactly, that is 4. Can you name those types of things? Very good. They are structural things, behavioral things, annotational things, grouping things. And one more question, how many elements are there in structural things? Exactly. There are 7 elements in the structural things and 1 in the grouping, 1 in the annotational, and 2 in the behavioral things. And next, coming to the today's session, that is relationships. Coming to the relationship, what is a relationship? Generally, relationship is another most important building block of UML. It shows how elements are associated with each other. And this association describes the functionality of an application. There are 4 kinds of relationships available. They are dependency, association, generalization, and realization. So coming to the dependency, the name itself indicates dependent. Dependent means, actually, if you see our family, will be depending on the father. Same wise, here also, if you want to represent such type of relationships, we use this dependency symbol. Coming to the definition, a semantic relationship in which a change on one thing may cause the changes in the another. So, next one is association. A structural relationship describes links between objects. May also include labels to indicate number and role of the links. For example, if you want to represent the relationship of association, here we'll consider an example of organization. An organization may contain one employee. So, the organization may have many number of employees. If you want to represent such type of semantic relationship, you need to use this association. Association, you can represent multiplicity on the association. It means you can represent 1 beside the employer and n beside the employee. So that it will represent that this organization contain 1 employer and n number of employees. So next, coming to the third relationship, that is generalization. Generalization, here it describes the relationship of the parent class to its subclasses. It means if you want to represent the parent-child relationship, you need to use this generalization. Next one is realization. It defines a relationship in which one class specifies something that another class will perform. For example, the relationship between an interface and the class that realizes or executes that interface. It means one class will be specifying and another class should perform the task. If you want to represent such type of relationships, then you need to use this realization. And next, coming to the dependencies. The dependency is rendered as a dashed line, possibly directed, and occasionally including a label on it. It means a dashed line with arrowhead that can be rendered. The dependency can be represented by using this dashed line with the arrowhead. And sometimes we can give the name on the dependency. And next, coming to the association. If you want to represent this association symbol, it is rendered as a solid line and possibly directed, occasionally including a label on it, and often it also contains the adornments such as multiplicity and the rule name. If you see the symbol there in the diagram, So association is represented by using a solid line. It is having some adornments. Adornments means multiplicity. Multiplicity means employer. The company may have 0 or 1 number of employees, and a company may have n number. N can be represented by using a star symbol. And role names. It means employer and employee. We can tell who is playing which role. That also can be represented on the association. Next one is generalization. Generalization is rendered as a solid line and a hollow arrowhead presenting towards the parent. And next one is realization. It is rendered as a cross between a generalization and a dependency relationship. So next, coming to the way the relationships can be used. Suppose dependency. As I already told you that dependency is rendered as a dashed line with the arrowhead. So for example, the dependency means it contains two parts. One is dependent part and second one is independent part. To represent this dependency, you need to use the arrowhead towards the independent part. And next one is association. Association is, there are two types of associations. First one is solid line and second one is aggregation symbol, which is represented by using a rhombus head, solid rhombus head. So if you want to represent the semantic relationship between the employee and employer, you can use this symbol. And next, this aggregation can be used at the whole and part relationship. You can use this aggregation symbol. And next one is generalization. If you want to represent this generalization symbol, as I already told you, this generalization symbol is used for parent-child relationship or parent-class and subclass relationship. The arrowhead should be pointed towards the parent class. And next one is realization. In realization, we need to, one class will be specifying and another class will be performing. Here, the parser is representing the defines the interface, and HTML parser is realizes or implements the interface. So the parser side, which class is specifying, that side will be pointing the arrowhead. This is regarding the relationships. How many types of relationships are there? There are 4 types of relationships. First one is dependency, second one is association, third one is generalization, and fourth one is realization. And dependency can be used for to show the dependent part and independent part type of relationships. We use this dependency. And second one, to represent the semantic relationship, we use this association. To represent the parent and parent class and subclass, we use this generalization. To represent a relationship between class and interface, one class will be specifying and another interface will be implementing, then we use this realization. This is a brief information regarding these relationships. Next, coming to the diagrams. To model a system at different points of time in a software lifecycle of a system, we use this diagrams. There are 9 types of diagrams. They are class diagram, object diagram, use case diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, activity diagram, state diagram, deployment diagram, component diagram. So diagrams are the combination of things and relationships. Here, similarly, the class diagram. Class diagram contains some things and relationships among those things. What are the things which we are using in the class diagram means? A class diagram shows a set of classes, interfaces and collaborations and their relationships. It means in class diagrams we will be having these classes, interfaces and collaborations. To represent the relationship among them, we may use any of these 4 relationships which we have discussed previously. The most common diagram found in the modeling object-oriented system is nothing but the class diagram. So class diagram is used to address the static design view of a system. The class diagram that include active classes address the static process view of a system. A class diagram models generally the static structure of a system. It shows relationship between the classes, objects, attributes and operations. As we discussed previously in the things, a class containing 3 parts. First part containing the name of the class and second part containing the attributes and the last part containing the operations which we use in the class. And there is one more part that is known as optional part that is used to represent the responsibilities of a class. The functionality provided by the class are termed as methods of the class. Attributes uniquely identify the class. It represents the static view of an application. The main purpose of using these class diagrams are analysis and design of the static view of an application. And to describe the responsibilities of a system, we use this class diagram. And the class diagram is the base for the component diagrams and deployment diagrams. It means to draw a component diagram or a deployment diagram, basically we need to have this class diagram. So it is a base for drawing this component and deployment diagrams. One more thing is forward and reverse engineering. What is meant by forward engineering means and reverse engineering means to convert from diagrams to code and code to diagrams is nothing but the reverse and forward engineering. And in class diagrams, one more important thing which we need to discuss is visibility. What is the visibility means? How the attribute should appear to the other classes. It means public. If you want to represent the attributes publicly, then we can represent the plus symbol. If you want to represent our attributes as private, then we need to use this minus symbol. If you want to represent these attributes with the protected, then you need to use this hash symbol. And if you want to represent a package, then you need to use this negation symbol. And sometimes you need to represent the multiplicity. What is this multiplicity means? As I told you, this is one of the adornment of the association. Multiplicity means if you want to represent organization may or may not contain the employer. If the organization have 0 or 1 number of employer, then you can represent it by using 0 dot 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 1. That means the organization is containing 0 or 1 number of employer. So if you want to represent exactly 1 employer, then you can write simply as 1. If you want to represent the organization may contain 0 or more number of employers, then you can write 0 dot 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 star. If you want to represent 1 or more number of employees, then you can write 1 dot dot 3 dots and star. That represent the company may have 1 or more number of employees. If you want to represent exactly 1, then you can n. Then you can write only n. It means n may be greater than or 1. And if you want to represent 0 to n, it means multiplicity. If you want to represent multiplicity, the company may have 0 or more number of employees. It means 0 to n. It means 1 to n means you can write as 1 to n. This represents the multiplicity of the relationship. It means association generally use this type of multiplicity. And next coming to the class diagram, that is for the class diagram for the order management system. Here, if you want to provide, if you want to perform some order management, then order management means generally for Swiggy and Zomato, you can use an example. Here, customer places the order. The order might be the special order or normal order. So, order is the superclass and the special order or normal order will be the subclass. To represent the relationship between the superclass and subclass, you need to use this generalization. And customer and order relationship can be association. One customer can give many number of orders. So one customer can be represented by using 1 and multiple orders can be represented by using n. N can be 1, 2, 3, so on you can. This is the class diagram. Next coming to the object diagram. Object diagram means it contains a set of objects and their relationships. Represents the static instances of things found in the class diagram. As I already told you, class is a collection of objects and object is an instance of class. So object diagram can be an instance of the class diagram. So object diagram describes the static structure of a system at a particular time at one instance that can be represented by using this object diagram. They can be used to test class diagrams for accuracy. It is a special kind of class diagram because it is an instance of the class diagram. An object is an instance of a class. The object diagram captures the state of the different classes in system and the relationships or associations at a given point of time. In brief, object diagrams are used for making the prototype of a system and it can be used to represent the reverse engineering and it can be used to model the complex data structures and it can be used to understand the system from practical perspective. These are the common uses that are used for the object diagram. And next, coming to the diagram, here a company may have D1 object, D2 object and D3 object. D1 object contains the department sales, and D2 object contains the department R&D, and D3 department contains the US sales. And these are the objects, and the relationship can be represented here in class diagrams. The relationship, the association, the relationship between two classes, semantic relationship, is known as association, whereas when we consider the instance of an association, that is represented by a link. So, in class diagrams, the semantic relationship is known as association. In objects, it is known as links. And arc shows an interaction, consists of set of objects and their relationship, including the messages that may dispatch among them. And next, coming to the use case diagram. The use case diagram is a set of use cases and actors. Use case diagrams consist of actors, use cases and their relationships. Generally, as I told you, use case is a scenario. It's a sequence of a scenario. To represent the sequence of a scenario, we use this use case diagram. The diagram used to model the system, subsystem of an application. A single use case diagram captures a particular functionality of a system. The purpose of use case diagrams can be used to gather requirements of a system. And the use case diagram is used to get an outside view of a system. The use case diagram is used to identify external and internal factors influencing the system. And the use case diagram shows the interaction among the requirements of actors. And the following are the places where use case diagrams are used. What are the places where the use case diagrams are used are requirement analysis and a high-level design, model the context of a system, reverse engineering and forward engineering. And as I told you, the requirement analysis means a starting phase of any business application or any business model, we use this requirement analysis. So for requirement analysis phase also we use this use case diagrams. And to model the context, it means to model the scenario of a system, we use this use case diagrams. And reverse engineering and forward engineering, we use this use case diagrams. And here is an example for use case diagram for library management system. So in library management system, we'll be having some actors. Actor symbol is represented there, and here we are having this association between the actors and use cases. Here we are having two actors, librarian and the member of the library. So here the librarian may be issuing the books and the member may be borrowing the books, and he'll inquire about the book, whether the book is present in the library or not. After, the librarian will search for the book and he'll verify the book is present. If the book is there, he will give it to the member. And after reading the book, the member will return the book to the librarian. And the librarian will be getting the catalog of the system. And next, interaction diagrams. Both sequence diagrams and collaboration diagrams are kinds of interaction diagrams. Interaction diagrams address the dynamic view of a system. Here, we are having two interaction diagrams. First one is sequence diagram and second one is the collaboration diagram. A sequence diagram is an interaction diagram. It represents a sequence diagram. An interaction diagram emphasizes the time ordering of messages. That can be represented by using sequence diagram. Sequence means time ordering, which action will be performed after which action. That can be represented by using this sequence diagram. Sequence diagram is used to describe some type of interactions among the different elements, objects in the system. Important aspect of this is that it is time ordered. Purpose of sequence diagram is it is used to capture the dynamic behavior of the system. It is used to describe the message flow in the system. It is used to describe the structural organization of the objects. And the sequence diagram is used to describe the interaction among objects. Next one is coming sequence diagram of the library management system. Here we'll be having user, admin and book database. what the sequence of messages will be followed in the sequence diagram. The sequence diagram represents the order of the messages. First, the user will log in the system, and that he will be authenticated by using this admin, and that information authentication will be stored in the database. After authentication, the user will be logged into the system and he enters the book name. That book name will be searched in the book database. After acknowledgement, whether the book is there or not, that will be given by the book database. And book found, if the book is found, that will be, he will be borrowing that book. If the book is not there, he will search another book. And next, the user will return the book. And after returning the book, the information will be stored in the updation will be stored in the book database. And after completion of all these tasks, and the user will be logged out of the system. This sequence of operations, or this sequence of messages, or this sequence of interaction can be represented by using this sequence diagram. Next one is collaboration diagram. An interaction diagram emphasizes the structural organization of the objects that send and receive the messages. Here, the important point to remember is sequence diagrams and collaboration diagrams are isomorphic. It means if we consider the sequence diagram, we can generate the collaboration diagram. In rational rows, by pressing the F5 after drawing the sequence diagram, if we press the F5 button, automatically it generates the collaboration diagram. Next one is state chart diagram. State chart diagram addresses the dynamic view of the system. Whereas, see here, the class diagram, object diagram, all these represents the static view of a system. And the state chart diagram represents the dynamic view of a system. It shows a state machine with states, transitions, events, and activities. As the name suggests, it describes different states of a component in a system. The states are specific to a component object of a system. Objects in the system changes status in response to events, used to model dynamic nature of the system. State diagram describes the flow of control from one state to another state. States are defined as the condition in which the object exists and it changes when some event is triggered. If you consider an example in the operating system. So let's consider that example. If you consider a activity of the process will be starting. That will be represented with one state. When the process running, it will be represented by using another state. If the process is in the waiting condition, that will be represented by using another state. So the state chart diagram is used to represent the states. Following are the main purposes of using state diagram. The state diagram is used to model the dynamic aspect of a system. It is used to model the lifetime of a reactive system. It is used to describe the different states of an object during its lifetime. And it defines a state machine to model the states of a object. Next, coming to the example of a state machine. Here we have considered one example, toaster, how the toaster machine works. When you turn on the toaster machine, it will be working. In the working condition, if the toaster is idle for more time, then automatically it shuts down. If the toaster is idle for less time, we can automatically run and use the toaster machine. So this state change can be represented by using this state machine. And next, coming to the activity diagram. It is a special type of state chart diagram that shows the flows from activity to activity within the system. It means a state machine will be changing from state to state. An activity diagram will be changing from activity to activity. That is the only difference between state machine and the activity diagram. Activity diagram is another important diagram in the UML to describe the dynamic aspect of the system. So whenever we use the transition from changes from one state to another state or one activity to another activity, that will be represented as dynamic aspect of the system. If the state is static, if the class diagram, object diagram, then we can say that is a static diagram. Activity diagram is basically a flow chart to represent the flow from one activity to another activity. It's just like a flow chart diagram. So in flow chart diagram also, if you want to represent an algorithm, that activity will be moving from one activity to another activity. Such type of diagrams can be represented by using this activity diagram. The activity can be described as an operation of the system. So the control flow is drawn from one operation to another operation. The flow can be sequential or branched or concurrent. Activity diagrams deal with all type of flow control by using different elements like fork and join. If you want to do the branching, then you can use this fork. If you want to combine all those branches, then you can use this join. So the main purpose of using this activity diagram is it can be used to draw the activity flow of a system, and it describes the sequence from one activity to another activity, and it also describes the parallel, branched and concurrent flow of the system. Before drawing an activity diagram, we should identify the following elements. So we need to identify activities, associations, conditions, constraints. Coming to the activity diagram for ATM. If you consider the activity diagram, how the activity is flowing. So first of all, let's start the system. The starting symbol is indicated as a solid circle. Whenever we go to the ATM, we'll insert the card and we'll enter the PIN. So after entering the PIN, that will be authenticated, and if the PIN is valid, then it will be displayed. If the PIN is invalid, and it will be displaying the check the PIN. After completion of all the activities, then the symbol is indicated by using a solid circle inside a hollow circle, that is represented by using the activity diagram. Next, coming to the component diagram. Component diagram shows the organizations and dependencies among a set of components. Component diagrams are different in terms of nature and behavior. Component diagrams are used to model physical aspects of a system. Physical aspects are the elements like executables, libraries, files, documents, etc. which reside in a node. It means if you want to represent the libraries, files, documents, that can be represented by using these components. And the relationship among those components can be represented by using this component diagram. So component diagrams are used to visualize the organization and relationship among the components in a system. So here is an example to represent the library management. Here we use this database. In this database, we are having components like search, block, user, all these are the different components. And that components, that relationship can be represented by using this, and files can be represented by using book, member, staff, transaction, all these can be represented by using this component diagram. Next, the main purpose of using this component diagram is it can visualize the components of a system, what the components are present in the system. And it is used to construct executables by using forward and reverse engineering. And it describes the organization and relationship of the components. A single component diagram cannot represent the entire system, but a collection of diagrams are used to represent the whole system. So, we can use multiple component diagrams if you want to represent the entire libraries management system. Before drawing a component diagram, we need to have the following artifacts. They are files used in the system, libraries and their artifacts relevant to the application, relationships among the artifacts. Next one, coming to the deployment diagram. Deployment diagram means here it is used to represent the configuration of runtime processing nodes and the components that are part of them. So that can be represented by using this deployment diagram. Deployment diagrams are used to visualize the topology of the physical components of a system where the software components are deployed. So deployment diagrams are used to describe the static deployment view of a system. Deployment diagrams consist of nodes and their relationships. It means nodes means if you want to represent the server symbol, then you can use this deployment diagram. Deployment of ATM machine. You can see here what the ATM machine and what the nodes we are using, that can be represented by using this deployment diagram. The main purpose of using this deployment diagram is it is used to visualize the hardware topology of a system. What is a topology means? It's nothing but the layout of the system, and it is used to describe the hardware components used to deploy software components. It is used to describe runtime processing nodes. If you want to represent the runtime processing nodes, you need to use this deployment diagram. And deployment diagrams are generally used for system engineers. An efficient deployment diagram is very important because It controls the following parameters such as performance, scalability, maintenance, and portability. So before drawing a deployment diagram, we need to have the following artifacts. They are nodes and relationships among the nodes. Thank you so much. Today, we have discussed about the relationships and diagrams in this class. The relationships are generally dependency, association, generalization, and realization. And we have discussed about the how many diagrams? Can anyone answer the question? How many diagrams we have discussed in today's session? Exactly. We have discussed 9 types of diagrams. Can anyone name them? Class diagram, object diagram, use case diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, activity diagram, state diagram, deployment diagram, component diagram. These are the 9 types of diagrams which we have discussed in today's session. And thank you so much.